Good evening and welcome to Mike on the Mic. I'm Mike Hughes. Well, the 2016 Kansas high school football season kicks off this weekend, so let's check out this weekend's area matchups. First off, there's one game played yesterday. Hoxie traveled to Greeley, Colorado, but we do not have a score at this time. In our area, the game of the week you'll watch later on, Ellsworth is at Russell. The Broncos trying to get on track as Ellsworth has won the last 5 times out. Quinter will be at Dighton. Dighton will feature senior Dylan Foose, who had 57 receptions last year for 845 yards and 17 touchdowns. Golden Plains will travel to Natoma. Rock Hills, who was district runner-up last year, will be at Wilson, and sophomore Zane Colson will lead the Grizzlies as he had 944 all-purpose yards last season. Spearville, last year 13-0 and last year's 8-man 1 state champs, will travel to Hill City to take on the Renex. Spearville will be headed by senior Luke Hessep, who had 1,468 yards and 30 touchdowns. Central Plains will be at Victoria. Of course, the Knights 12-0 last year and last year's 8-man 2 state champions. However, they'll have to rebuild as Victoria graduated all 8 offensive starters. Stockton will be at Trigo. Lakeside at Pike Valley. Pike Valley will feature senior Mason Rump, who was first team K-Prep's all-district team last year and a runner-up his sophomore year. Logan Palco will be at Winona Tri-Plains Brewster. Brewster lost to Victoria last year in the first round of the playoffs. Logan Palco, though, lost Riley Knipp, who transferred to Plainville. Alma, Nebraska will travel to Northern Valley, where Northern Valley lost to Alma in last year's season opener. Thunder Ridge will be at Osborne. Osborne back under the helm of Coach Colin Reiner, who returns. Osborne also returns 8 starters on offense and defense. The Bulldogs will be led by senior Colin Graybast, who rushed for 1,123 yards last year and caught for 425 yards. Phillipsburg, last year's 2-1A state champs, now ranked number 5 in 3A. They will travel to Clay Center. Phillipsburg will be led by the Coombs brothers, senior Mark, who had 1,247 rushing yards last year and 11 touchdowns, and younger brother junior Kirk Combs, who had 758 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, scoring all 4 touchdowns in that state title game. Goodland will be at Norton. Norton ranked number 3 in 3A. This is going to be an aerial battle. Norton will be paced by junior quarterback Jace Reuter, who has several Division I colleges scouting him already. He was 101 of 221 passing for 1,407 yards last year. Goodland quarterback, he's a junior, Levi Archer, threw for 2,150 yards and 16 touchdowns. Senior Jacob Green for Norton had 145 tackles last year, including a state-best 32 tackles for loss. This is going to be a battle of the secondary on defense. Coffeyville will be at Great Bend. Great Bend has a new coach, and Aaron Beck. Senior Bryce Lytle had 57 catches last year for Great Bend for 1,049 yards and 8 touchdowns, while senior quarterback Jacob Murray had 2,475 total yards and 31 touchdowns. Smith Center, ranked number 1 preseason in Class 2-1A, travels to Plainville to take on the Cardinals. Smith Center lost in the sub-state game to Phillipsburg last year, but they returned senior Caden Meitler, who had 1,017 yards and 104 tackles. Plainville, though, has a great athlete in Hayden Friend. He returns. He had 830 yards rushing, 21 touchdowns, and also threw for 1,760 yards and 10 touchdowns. He'll get some help from Riley Knipp, I mentioned earlier, a transfer from Logan Palco, who had 626 yards, 9 touchdowns last year. On offense, 74 tackles on defense. Young ball club, Smith Center only lost 5 seniors, Plainville losing 3. Abilene will be at TMP. TMP also a new coach, Jason Colley. TMP will try and upright the ship as they are 1-17 since joining the Mid-Continent League, and they'll have to tangle with Abilene's Sam Burt. He's a senior all-league guard defensive end. And Hayes High, the Indians travel to Scott City. Scott City will be led by senior quarterback Bo Hess, who threw for 1,265 yards and 14 touchdowns last season. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Mike on the Mic. Thanks to our sponsor, the Phillips County Health Systems. Now we'll send it back to Curtis and Chris with our area game of the week right after this message. I'll see you next week.